Hi guys, and welcome back to the Moaning Yorkshireman. Welcome back here inside the Cruel Corner. Unfortunately though, we're not talking about Formula E as a race as the whole, unfortunately, because the season ended a couple of weeks ago, of course. This time, I'm sure you saw on Tuesday's episode, we praised the top 5 drivers that I thought were the 5 best drivers of Formula E for Season 10. This episode, I'm sure it's the one you've all been waiting for. We're going to discuss with the drivers that I think are the 5 worst. The 5 drivers that massively underdelivered this season, that didn't do the job that was expected of them, that maybe got trounced all over by their teammates. There's a lot in here to discuss. And yeah, basically, we're going to give it my opinion. We're going to go from 5 to 1, so 5th worst to 1st worst. And we're going to sink our teeth into it right now. So then, let's begin. Let's begin, shall we? 5th place, and I'm cheating. I am cheating with number 5, but I feel it needs to be mentioned. 5th place is Sebastian Buemi, Robin Freins, and the Envision Squad. I am cheating because it's not just one solitary driver, but my goodness me, where have they been this season? We had a great start to the season with a couple of podiums for each driver and a couple of points finishers, and then that bit there from like round 3 to round 12 or round 13, like a barren. Just nothing happened. No points whatsoever virtually. Maybe the odd 10th, maybe the odd 8th. But aside from that, there was just this big period in the middle where nothing happened at all. And you're like, my God, what has happened to this team? What has happened to the drivers? Like, where on earth? They're never going to find the pace again. And then we get to the likes of Portland, and then all of a sudden, Robin Freins starts popping up in the podium places again. You're like, where's this come from? Then you get to London, and then you get the likes of Sebastian Buemi, a podium and a 4th place. And it just baffled me. It really did. It really did. It proved that the car clearly had the pace at the start of the season and at the end of the season. There's not really much you can do in terms of development in Formula E apart from software developments, and they have to get approved. So it's not like they're going to be chucking upgrades on every single weekend. So what happened? What happened for about 10 rounds this season where nothing seemed possible? No points virtually. There were some, but there weren't enough to string a campaign together against. I mean, there were one point where the likes of App Cooper and Maserati and even ERT at one stage were scoring points quite regularly. And you're thinking, well, they're only getting 1s and 2s and 4s for like 8th, 9th, 10th. But they're chipping away because Envision are scoring absolutely nothing, and it could come to a point where Envision here lose out massively in the constructors' standings and score nothing, and they could end up like outside the top 10. In theory, it looked like that at one stage because that's how bad Envision were doing. When you had the likes of ERT, Mahindra, and Apt scoring points, and Envision not, that was massive alarm bells for me, and a massive alarm bells for anyone. But then for the end of the season, for them to suddenly both get podiums again at the end, like they did at the beginning, what happened? What happened in those like 10 rounds? I would love to know. I would really love to know, because something went wrong there somewhere, didn't it? And I'm not convinced it was all driver, but I'm also not convinced it was all the team. So something happened there. I think it must have just been a massive breakdown of communication between everyone. It was like everyone just didn't know what they were doing anymore. It was like they forgot they were racing. It was crazy. So yeah, in 5th place, it's cheating because he's not one solitary driver, but it is Sebastian Buemi, Robin Freins, and the Envision Squad, unfortunately, because that was just a bizarre season. And clearly, the pace was there, but it was delivered very, very rarely. In 4th place, I have gone for Sam Bird. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Tying with his teammate Jake Hughes on points with 48 and securing a victory. So that was 25 points to him in the early phases of this season. Was it round 3 or round 4 he achieved that? And then just to prove how bad his season actually went from there, after picking up 25 points really early on, as I said, round 3 or round 4, the rest of the season he only picked up 11. He only picked up 11 more points after that victory. which is crazy, isn't it? It really, really is. I'm aware he was out, obviously, of course, for injury at some point in the season, wasn't he, and missed a few races. But again, it's just been a poor season. And in theory, I should have maybe cheated here and put Jake here as well, to be honest, because they both scored the same amount of points. And it got to that place where, you know, Bird has scored no points for ages. Jake Hughes had not really scored any points for ages, and then Taylor Barnard came in to replace Bird from his injured wrist, and he scored 5 points. A total rookie to the championship. So yeah, maybe Jake Hughes escapes it here, but I'm not trying to cheat it all the way through. I just had to get the Envision thing in. But yeah, for me, Sam Bird is fourth place to him, because it has just been another season of where you think, well, did he really deserve this McLaren seat after what he did at Jaguar the previous season, taking out his teammate twice, not really doing very much at all. And then you look at it on paper and you're like, well, you got this chance, did you deliver? The answer is no. And that's why he's here. That's why he's here over Jake, I would say. Because Jake looked to be improving as the season went on. You know, like, yeah, he had that lull of points in the middle and Taylor Barnard picks him up and it's like, oh, alarm bells. But at least he did get a podium at Shanghai and consistently delivered a point or two over the season. In the end, they both ended up with 48 points. So, yeah. But for me, Bird just edges it, because I don't think he deserved this opportunity at McLaren anyway. And he's not really done anything to prove that he should stay here. Yeah, he had that victory, brilliant, but he seems to do that every team he's in. He gets a victory, he gets a couple of podiums, everyone's like, wow. But he can't string it together, and then unfortunately falls by the wayside, gets involved in silly incidents and accidents once again. And yeah, and I think London at the end of the season proved it again, didn't it? He took out Darrow Valla and then tried to blame it on an incident that happened 3 corners before that had actually nothing to do with him. So it was bizarre. But yeah, Sam Bird for me. He has had a victory, and fair play to him for that. McLaren's first in Formula E. But apart from that, that's been his only shining moment. And it's been very miss rather than hit this season for Sam Bird, and hasn't really done enough to justify his position or seat within Formula E anymore. Third place, we come to Dan Tinctum in the ERT, the ERT. Yes, unfortunately for me, Dan Tinctum has just had a total turnaround in fortune with that ERT squad. For Neo last year, he was doing fantastically well at times, wasn't he? He was the breadwinner for the points for the most part, picking up a 10th, a 9th, an 8th, a 7th, an occasional top 5 finish as well. He did really, really well and showed Sete Camera up massively. That's in Season 9, however, because we come to Season 10, and although Dan Tinctum outscores his teammate Sete Camera by a solitary point, he only picked up those points as a result of a mad race, shall we say, and one finish inside the points for the entire season. Crossed the line in 5th, elevated to 4th after Da Costa's disqualification at that bizarre Misano E-Prix. So he gets a 4th place and secures 12 points. Sete Camera in the first half of that season scored more points. Even though he didn't score more points, it's going to sound stupid this, even though he didn't score more points, he was always there. 10th, 9th, 8th, and he had a 6th place finish as well. But unfortunately his tally only amounted to 11, but Sete Camera was the more consistent driver throughout the season. The fact that we're talking about Dan Tinctum's only result inside the points being a crazy 4th place finish, and every other race this season, I think we've had an 11th somewhere. But apart from that, he's been well outside the points. This has just been a very, very difficult season for Dan Tinctum. A very frustrating one. I know the car's not got the efficiency. I know the car's not got the pace. And I know that the team ended up last in the standings, where I sort of predicted they were going to finish anyway this season, because it is unfortunately the backmarker car. You know, it's got a lack of investment, a lack of funding. And I don't discredit Dan Tinctum for that at all. He cannot help where his car is. But instead of getting like a 14th place finish, which was probably where the car should have finished, he'll be there in 17th. He'll be down in 18th. He'll be getting involved in incidents again. He'll be losing his head over the team radio. And it's just been the old Dan Tinctum back in terms of his attitude in certain times, where he was saying like, oh, if I'd have been 16-year-old me, I'd have just rammed him out of the way. Or it's just immaturity like that's creeping back in again. Admittedly, a bit of frustration at the lack of the pace of the car. But to me, Sete Camera was a lot more consistent in qualifying, a lot more consistent in the races. Dan Tinctum has got 1 4th place finish this season, and that has been it. The rest of the time, he has been absolutely nowhere, whereas at least his teammate Sete Camara has always been on the fringe of the points more often than not, even if he didn't score them. Sete Camara has certainly shown the ERT in a better light than Dan Tinctum, and Dan Tinctum has just had an incredibly bad and incredibly frustrating season, so where it almost seems like Sete Camara and Dan Tinctum have swapped places from where they were in Season 9 to where they are in Season 10. A total contrast. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So yes, Dan Tinctum, 1 4th place finish this season and absolutely nothing else. It's crazy to say. He's had a difficult season, his attitude stank at times, and that's why he's 3rd on this list. In 2nd place, we come to Sasha Fenestraz in the Nissan. He has been walked all over by his teammate Oliver Rowland this season. Unfortunately for Sasha Fenestraz, he's just had a difficult run. I mean, he's rarely scored points. I think he's scored 20-something, and Oliver Rowland's up there with 150-something. Realistically, Oliver Rowland, had he not missed Portland and had he not had the issue at Mazzano where his car basically ran out of charge half a lap before the end due to a team miscommunication with the calculations there, he could have been an easy championship contender and potentially could have won the championship as well, whereas Sasha Fenestraz has been absolutely nowhere for the most part. I think we've had 1 5th place finish from him. It's been his highest result, and the rest of the times where he's picking up the points, it's like 8th downwards, something like that. It's not been great, unfortunately. His 2nd season in Formula E has certainly not been a good one. After what showed so much promise in Season 9 from him, he looked like there were a couple of occasions there where he could have had a podium and it went wrong for whatever reason. I think he got took out into the wall, didn't he, at one of the races last season where it should have been a podium, and then he had another race where he had an issue with the car and it wouldn't go into attack mode and things like that. So yeah, you know, Season 9, it was a season of what could have been, but a great rookie season to build on going into Season 10. And Season 10 has arrived and he has just not delivered the goods or the results at all. Points are very few and far between. Silly incidents. He sort of fell out with Norman Nato on a couple of occasions as well, didn't he? Not all his own fault, but I'm just saying it seems to be, you know, they got to a stage where they couldn't get away from each other, and rather than just overtaking each other cleanly, it's like they had a vendetta against each other. And yeah, overall, Sasha Fenestraz has just been very, very frustrating to watch this year, especially when, like I say, you look at Season 9, comes in, does well, does respectable, gets a pole position, almost gets onto the podium. You think, right, deliver that into Season 10, and it's just gone missing. It's just totally gone over there somewhere. It's like it's all been left at Season 9, and in Season 10, Sasha Fenestraz has really not delivered the results or the goods expected of him in a Nissan car that looked like it was capable of a lot more than what he delivered. And you only had to look in the other side of the garage to show you what it was capable of. So yeah, Sasha Fenestraz is 2nd on this list. A very, very difficult 2nd album year for him, it must be said. And in 1st on this list, and I'm sure will come as no surprise to absolutely anyone, it is of course Lucas Di Grassi in the Abt Cupra. Yes, 4 points this season he has scored, 2 of which he scored at London in the final race. Crossing the line 10th, Da Costa had a penalty, that got him to 9th place and got him 2 points. So before the final race this season, he'd only scored 2 in the remainder of the season. Another one of those were because of Da Costa's disqualification as well at Misano. So yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. Unbelievable. And compare that to his teammate Nico Muller, who scored 52. 52 points this season Nico Muller scored. And yes, unfortunately, Di Grassi only contributed 4 of those. And 3 of those points he got as a result of disqualifications and penalties. So that's crazy, isn't it? So in theory he scored 1 point on merit this season, which is madness, absolutely madness. I expected him to go back to his Abt team, the team he's first started off with. I know it's got the Cooper in now and it's the Mahindra powertrains and things, but I expected him to go into that team and rejuvenate it like he did at Mahindra. You know, he had that podium for him in Season 9. I know it was a tough season, but he always seemed to be up there, didn't he? He was doing okay there. But then in Season 10 this season, it's been absolutely nothing, hasn't it? He's confirmed to race in Season 11 with the Abt Cupra squad, which are now becoming Yamaha Lola. So that'll be interesting to see how he gets on there. But my oh my, this season has been incredibly poor by Lucas Di Grassi's standards. It's just been mistake after mistake. He's had a lot of incidents and a lot of run-ins, punting cars off left, right and centre. The frustration, he's just not delivered anything at all. And you just look at Nico Muller securing 52 points. Had Lucas Di Grassi got any closer to that, in terms of points, which is clearly capable of. The car was clearly capable of. Nico Muller wasn't getting a lucky 6th place every race for the last few races. He was there on merit. Lucas Di Grassi, has he come close to that point scoring? We could have seen him beating the likes of Envision. We could have seen App Cooper beating the likes of maybe even McLaren as well. It's mad. It's absolute madness. It has certainly probably beaten Maserati as well. So, yeah, there was a lot of points left on the table there because of this driver, Lucas Di Grassi. His teammate, 52 points. Lucas Di Grassi, 4. 3 of which were lucky points that he got, which is crazy, isn't it? So only 1 point on merit is where he crossed the line, which is absolute madness. So yeah, for Lucas Di Grassi, he had to be first on this list. He has by far and away been the most disappointing driver this season. I'm sure at Cooper feel that way as well, because if you just had 2 Nico Mullers in that car, they could have easily finished 7th, maybe even 6th in the driver's standings had you added Nico Muller's points together, basically times by 2. So yeah, it's been very, very frustrating for Lucas Di Grassi. I'm sure it's been incredibly frustrating for App Cooper as well. And it's been very frustrating for a lot of other teams and drivers as well, who have fared the brunt of Lucas Di Grassi's desperation in several races, taking out both Mahindras at one of the races. He took out JQs at Tokyo. Yeah, just loads of incidents where he's been affecting other drivers and teams during his lack of pace and desperation season. Let's see how he gets on at season 11. But for now, very, very poor, very disappointing. And Lucas Di Grassi, the clear winner of the worst driver this season in Formula E. So everything, guys, those were my top 5 worst drivers in Formula E. Let me know down in the comments section. Do you agree with my top 5? Would you have mixed it up a little bit? Would you have put someone in here that maybe I haven't talked about? Do you think I've been overly harsh on anyone? Do you agree with the Envision thing? I know it's a little bit cheating, but do you agree with that? And yeah, let me know your top 5 mainly. You know, it's always good to know in the comments section below how far away I am in terms of your guys' opinions. We've all got opinions, you know, we've all got arseholes, we've all got opinions. So yeah, let me know down in the comment section what your opinion is on this season so far and your 5 worst drivers of season 10. I'll see you all again soon for another video. I've still got the video to do about the constructors standings for Formula E, haven't I? I've still got that to get out. I need to do that one, and I need to do it soon. So that'll be out next week. I'll promise you that now. So look forward to that. See how right or wrong I was with my constructors predictions just based on winter testing of Season 10. So that'll be interesting to see how many I get right or how many I get wrong. I'll see you all for that, and I'll have a crawl room out in the meantime for Formula 1 if you're interested in that, and I'll have loads of other bits and pieces out as well. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the continued support with the channel, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, much love.